Well, it's been a while. Here's some of the stuff I've been working on. The door's creepily opening by itself. I just win. Fix that. A little breezy this morning. Anyhow, I started getting into doing small engines here and there. A long time, well, I got this back in June. It's 1991 Murray. I got the hood over, the rest of the hood over here. It is a 12 horse IC engine with a 40-inch cut. And I've been working on this on and off since June. The first big problem it had was the transaxle was not functioning. There it is. Transaxle was not functioning. The shifter lever, which I believe you can see right there in the middle of the shot, basically the fork and selector on it was totally separated from it inside the box. So it was just freely moving. And I had to have it completely apart. Weld that together, get some new seals for it and everything, fill it back with grease. And so far it's been doing pretty good when I've had it out, messing with it. Had to get a new idler pulley, which is that right there. The old one was pretty stiff, didn't want to roll too easy. I got it separated there, fixed up. Everything else seemed okay. Up there's the bottom of the engine. I put a new seal there. Well, I had to. This engine was running really crazy. Engine was running pretty crazy. It was just kind of shaking and sputtering and stuff, and I was like, well, there's something wrong there. So I went ahead and took it apart, took the rings out of it, replaced them. That kind of did a little valve job on it, and it seemed like it's running pretty decent now. It's got one of these single piece flow jets, which I need more light. Turn it down. Hold on a second. Got one of these single piece flow jets are kind of a pain to set up. But I got it running pretty good now. I also had to put a new muffler on it. The old one was junk. I'll show it to you here in a second. This is a brand new Stens muffler. Even hooks on the front by that screw there. And I had to drill out the holes and the screw hole. The bolt holes were so worn out that I had to drill them out and put helicoils in them for this to tighten up. And it's holding really stiff now, really tight, really rock solid on there. And these are kind of a pain to work, but on the bottom of the bowl there, that's the high-speed mix screw. So if you got it full throttle, you set it there, and this one right here, that one right there is for the low-speed mix. Then you got the regular idle speed on the throttle linkage right there. Yeah, it's okay. So that's working pretty good. Biggest trouble I had lately, well, right now the problem is the bowl gasket is leaking a bit even at full tightness on the nuts, so I'm going to look into that. Deck-wise, this was like Swiss cheese, so I had to fix that. Weld the holes up in it, Make some patches here and there out of some steel. And then I was using this deck belt, which is not proper because it's so thin. So I went ahead and got an actual Murray deck belt, and it seems like it's working better. I can't guarantee it's working perfectly, but it is working. Because the problem I was having with this one, it would spin up and it would slow down, spin back up, slow down. The engine wasn't doing bad, but you know, it's kind of weird. The biggest problem I had when I was trying to take it apart, this wheel right here, this thing was literally rusted solid to the axle. I basically destroyed it trying to get it off. But you can see some welds kind of right in there. Once I finally got it off, I had to re-straighten it up, smash it back together, and then weld it. And it's doing pretty good. You can't even tell it's had anything wrong with it. So that's pretty neat. I fixed a lot of the wobble in the steering wheel. There's still that much play in it, but it was worse before I got a hold of it. So I just kind of went in there and fixed some of that. Connects right about there. So I kind of, I think it was on, yeah, I think his upper side here. I kind of welded the holes back in and kind of opened them back up to where they would fit good. So that was decent. Turn this on. Here's the muffler that was on that 12 horse. Yeah, just took a Maraca. Yeah, I took had a cover on it right there. I just took that off, maybe I could put it on this thing. Anyway, yeah, it's rough. Want to get that off of there. You can see fire belching between the head of the engine and this. It just wasn't going to work too good. But with that mower, I got this engine too, which I kind of have it apart here. This is a 12.5 inch. It's like 12 and a half horsepower. It's basically 4 years newer than that 12 horse. This is where the direction they were going. But yeah, it's not bad. There's like no play in the piston head, which that one had play in the piston head, and it wasn't running right. Once I got the rings off, I knew they were too thin, so we were having blow by too much. So I went ahead and, after I did that, and then I was going to put this on something completely different. This is let me uncover what I got here. Here's a muffler that was on this one. I just screwed in down here. But that's a little too close to where the carburetor's going to go, so I'm going to try to run it outwards and maybe kind of off to the side a little bit. Keep that from being a problem. The coil's had some moose chews on it. So it works, as I got spark out of it with this spark plug here that I had in my stash. The spark plug that was in this one, I actually put in the 12 horse, so I had something to go with to begin with that one. This one, I'll try to use this one because it was working and it fits. Yeah, here's there it is. 12.5 horse industrial commercial. It's a model out of focus. Kind of got dirty. 289707 015401. Code starts out with 95, so it was 1995 engine. Now that was a 1991 engine, I believe. That was on the front of it. Yeah. right there. You can't really see it, but it says 9.1. So this is actually the original engine for this mower. So that's why I want to keep it on there. This little thing is going to go on something I'm inventing, which I haven't really seen in the market anywhere. This thing is going to go on, if it's running good, a device I like to call a trail whip. If you've seen a Swisher mower, then you know what I'm talking about. But in this case, instead of using a blade, we're going to be using whips. If you've seen, well, the idea I got was from, my idea was if you could take those trimmer heads, spindles, and put them on like a pull behind deck, then you could use something like that on rough trails like I got out on my 40. And that would actually keep you from damaging a blade, hitting rocks, hitting roots, hitting all sorts of crap like that. So right now I'm looking for the framing steel to build it and everything. And I figured I would use some old spindles from a Cub Cadet CT50 that I had not long ago when I've got running and sold. But I got some of the spindles left over from that, and I figured I might try to use those. I got these right here. They're still good though, they're still running really smooth. It's just they did not work for the blades that go on that mower, because once you get the nut off, all the parts of this blade spline were completely worn down, so they wouldn't hold a blade without turning anymore. So my idea is to make something to put the whips on that I can stick to this. Maybe grind this off so it's flat and kind of lay it down, and then put it on with a nut. And I'll have have like these on it. They're pre-cut, about 18-inch trimmer lines. So they would fold in half. Do it one-handed. Fold in half, stick to something here, come out at 2 different sides, and then have like 3 of those on a deck, if you want to call it a deck, just a frame, being ran by that engine there, which 12.5 does seem like a little bit excessive or something like that, because you're not pulling heavy blades. But then again, you get full power basically from one of these engines at full RPM, like 34 to 3600 RPM, depending on the age and all that stuff. But you don't have to run a full throttle, I mean, heck, we can run that Husqvarna, under full throttle and still cut stuff pretty good. So I figured that might be a good idea. I already tried the starter. The starter spins it up. I'm getting spark from that coil. I did a lot of cleaning on it because it was pretty caked up. You're not going to get good airflow because of that. And the carburetor is a Walbro, and it was on it when I got it. And to look at this, it's not going to function right, because your governor arm is going to be pulling back this way. Well, governor spring is going to be pulling the governor arm back this way. And this throttle is pulling closed, pulling back that way as it would be mounted. So that was not going to work. But I got this in case I need to do something with it. Or I got this in case I would be able to find something to do with it. I got the bowl, the float, the needle valve still in there, down there in the bottom, and the pin that holds the float on. But there was no bowl nut to hold it onto the carburetor, so I don't have that right now. What I am getting is a Chinese knockoff of the actual carburetor that goes on this engine, and I think that'll work better, because this is a Chinese knockoff of a Nikki. It's got, the shutoff valve solenoid works and everything, but the problem is this does not shut the fuel off at the float and the float needle and everything. I've actually tried this. You're supposed to be able to, hold it upright. You can hear it go through. Well, when you flip it over, it's supposed to close the needle valve so the fuel would shut off. It's still going through. So that was junk from the start. That's why I couldn't use it when the reason I've got it in the first place. I thought maybe I could try it on here, but no. It is not going to work. Anyway, I do have an extra head gasket, but this is the original and it did not shred up on me when I was taking it off, so I'm going to try to use that again. Clean the head up a little bit. It's a little shinier than it was. Had some gunk. Had an issue here because these two mounting spots here and here are what hold this piece of sheet metal on for the blower shroud to work better. Screws on these two places here. And the head of that one broke completely off inside, which I believe is that one. Yeah. So I had to drill that out. I was trying to do the weld technique and it didn't work because the weld itself kept snapping off the bolt remnants. So I ended up just drilling it out and tapped it a little bit, so I found another screw that was left over from that engine because I had to change that one out because it could use a new different, slightly longer screw to mount the front bracket on that muffler. And if you know Terrell Fixes All, he calls it a muffkin. So to mount that muffkin, I had to use a different bolt, so I got to save this one from that engine, and I got that to go on here when I'm done with it. So that works out pretty good. Got the throttle control sliding pretty good there. Need a better light. There's a light back here. Didn't help a whole lot, you can see better. Yeah. Okay, see? In this setup, that's low throttle, high throttle, and then that piece right here is what pushes into the choke linkage. Well, if I can get it turned around. It's fighting with me. Okay. There we go. It slides through here, and that'll come up. When you pull it, throttle all the way, it'll push the choke out. It pushes that into that, and that opens up, like say here, pushes into that, closes the choke off. And then this is spring loaded here, so whenever you back it off to just regular run, that would slide that back and that would all open back up for regular running with the throttle. So yeah, I cleaned that up. It was pretty gunked up in there. Got this part of the cleaned off pretty good. The flywheel key is not sheared, so it should have good timing there. This is okay. I looked in here. There's enough space. There's enough valve lash in there at the valves to work out pretty good. The gasket around the valve cover here, which is this is actually the engine pulse, or the pulse line, which I took this one off because it's wrong for this design. Yeah, where the pulse line itself would actually go in, and that feeds into the air box right there. I had to order a new one for that because this one is not designed for this setup with that one. So anyway, also getting a new O-ring for that. That was pretty gone. And it was on this base here. I don't know if I'm going to keep it on there yet or not. It just depends on how it's going to set up. Stuff like that there. So I've also been doing a little bit of ATV work. Had a friend of mine, Jeff, he brought over his 03 Bombardier 400, which is, basically the Outlander. a bit earlier version of the Outlander. He was having a coolant problem. His cooling fan was not coming on, and it was steaming up a little bit on him. So he's like, "Can you want to check that out?" I'm like, "Okay." So he brought that over. It turned out the sending unit, or the thermal switch that causes the fan to come on at a certain temperature, was not working. So we replaced that, and that was fine. But then once I got up to where the thermostat was, then it was a problem, because there was actually a crack in the thermostat cover, and it was spewing coolant all over the place. I could literally sit there and squeeze the hose, and it was like coming out of it. So I was like, yeah, I need to do one of those too. So I got that, put that on, and then we're still having problems with it to a certain degree, because it was leaking out from around that. The new one was fine though. Turned out either I didn't get the bolts tightened up the first time, or there was a possibility that, what I ended up doing was getting a new gasket for the thermostat, replace that, and tighten it down, let it sit out and warm up enough to get the fan going, no leaks, it was fine. So I was like, here you go. That's pretty good. But yeah, been doing little things here and there. I just haven't thought of anything good, everything going on right now. I haven't thought of anything good to record, so I just didn't bother. Anything I was doing, I was like, well, everybody's seen this a million times from somebody else, so I'm not going to bother with it. And then I was looking at Vinny down here. I'll show him. Looking at my Vinny here, and I noticed we had the wrong lug nuts here, and of course I knew I had two wrong ones back there. What this kind takes is, I don't know if it's just the aluminum wheels or not, but these take the tapered kind, so that centers the wheel on the hub at the studs there. And I've been running them on and off a little bit with that wrong. So got to order those up. Those came off of a 2005 Eiger 400. So, they use the same thing. So I got two back there, so there's four now, and then I totally replaced all these because these were all wrong. So Vinny's got all the proper lug nuts now, and that's a load off my mind, right? Because you get the wrong thing on something, you gotta wear it out fast. Everything's going. Got the old winch going. Yeah, I know. That's the first and that's the second ATV I've ever had, so I had to learn how they worked and how they get fixed. Because I was paying $150. Like I said, I don't know if I said that in another video, I was paying a shop $150 to clean the carburetors on them. And I'm like, I can't keep doing that. I mean, I've had Vinny's out like 3 times now, so there's $450 worth of carburetor cleaning, which the last 2 I didn't really need to do, but I did anyway. And just to make sure. So he's running pretty good now. They're both running really good now. It is windy outside. I don't know if you hear all that noise or not, but anyway. Sometimes it takes me, if I'm learning on my own, sometimes I'm like that with it. Sometimes it's like I don't get around to it for a while. So it took a few years for me to get the winch going on Vinny here. And it works pretty good. I mean, I actually wrapped it around a tree out in the backyard, put Vinny in neutral, and just ran it and had me just pulled to the tree, so it's working. It's a 2,000-pound Warn winch, and I haven't, I don't really go anywhere I might need a winch, but I got it working, so it's there if I need it for any reason. A little bit of insurance, I guess. I didn't change the cable on it or anything, but I think it'll be okay. As Isaac with Cars and Cameras says, it'll be fine. So, what else? Yeah. So I ended up get this rig around. Whoops. So I had to get a new solenoid, the actual proper solenoid to make it work. There it is. Yeah. Had to get the proper solenoid for it because we were using more of a starter, like tractor riding mower kind of solenoid, and it didn't work right. But that one, I threw that in there, and boom, she started going. Just gotta hook it up on the battery. It's pretty neat. It's the only one I have with a winch. I've seen people with the king quads with winches on them, and I just never set one up for it. Or set it up for it. Just bare bones right there with the front differential box on it. This was a patch job that I did not do myself, but I painted it so it blends in better. Otherwise it was just kind of bare silver metal like aluminum. All that good stuff. I like having a quad with a display on it. It's not hooked up, or you can see it come on. I keep the batteries unhooked because I don't run them enough. Because can't tell you how many times I've had to replace batteries on my quads because they're not ran enough, and I just kept them hooked up, and there's some kind of parasitic draw, so I just ended up replacing it again and again. Finally, it's like, hey, just leave it unhooked. I'm like, fine. So I just throw a charger on it once in a while, and they're good. Got a hold of a good charger this time. Here's the box for it. I got it laying out, but Optimate Duo. It's got the Honda brand on it, so you know it has to be good, right? Optimate Duo. It's a smart charger. That first, that's power light. Next one over is the charge. Third one over there turns green, means it's maintaining the battery, so you don't have to be like, oh, I forgot to unplug it, and had to rush out there really fast and do it, so you don't have to worry about that. All that kind of stuff. Boy, the camera's getting pretty warm. Anyway, that's that. I've been doing that kind of stuff. I went ahead and put gun racks on both of them just for have something to use if I need to. King quad here. Let me turn that light back on. It's dark over here. I'm using the unnatural light in the building. King quad here, the pull start, which is under there. Pull start was had one screw left on it, and I was driving around the yard and I kept hearing a clanking noise, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Turned out the pull start was coming off, and put that back on. Oh gosh, when was that? Maybe early this year. At the best. Something like that. But yeah. And I replaced Vinny's toe plate with this one from Colpin, I believe it was. Let me see. Got the box over here still, I think. Too much cardboard in the way. Yeah. Colpin Outdoors 2-inch receiver, Suzuki straight axle. So yeah, I got that. Make him have a little more capability than just the ball by itself on the original toe plate. The original toe plate kind of dumps down the back. Here's Vinny's original toe plate. Yeah. Still good though. I mean, I don't think it's been torn up or anything. I just didn't have the use for it at the time. I have to put that back later. So yeah, another thing about this Murray, when I got it, the drive belt was literally flipped backwards where the tapered part was on the outside. Don't know what that was all about, but I saw it was damaged anyway, so I had to replace that anyway. All that good stuff. Let's see. Anyway, bouncing back and forth, squirrels, you know. This went with the receiver that I got on the back of the King Quad right now. So I was looking for a Komodo, but this is the next best thing I could find because they don't seem to sell the Komodos anymore. While I was at it, I went ahead and got a hook. Got some options between the two of them. See, the one on King Claw's back here. It doesn't look like it would keep from spinning, but I haven't put any heavy weight on it yet. See if it's doing that or not. Yeah. A little dark, but it's just held on by one bolt on the original toe plate there. So it's better than nothing. I gotta find something to put that on. Been sitting here gathering dust for a while now since that last video, and just how that is. Anyway, I was needing some better light over here, and I came up with this. So I built this work stand. It's actually a table. I had to make it taller because that thing is too short over there. I forgot how tall I made this thing. It's almost 41 inches high. It's a lot easier to get up to. So I figured these days you can't find anything you want commercially, and it's priced too high when you do, so you have to end up making your own thing. So that's what I did. I put like I think a 10 gauge piece of steel on top of it. Like 10 gauge piece of steel, that's MDF, and then obviously 2x4s. The legs are made out of treated 4x4. Put a shelf down there. This was a while back, but this, I wanted better light over here because I couldn't see anything. That's not working too good. So I got a 2x4, ran it up the side here, and then I got this on a hinge, and this is one of the 2-pack of lights you can get. We were able to get it like Menards or something earlier in the year. So it's on a hinge. So that's nice and bright here. It lights it up pretty good. It lights up the area pretty good too. And since it's on a hinge, I can rotate it back this way. And then if I need to use something or pick up something with that hoist and run it over across the top of the table and drop it down, I can. And just shove it back. And also there's an added benefit is if I need to see the backside of an engine like this, just pull it back and you can see a lot better. It doesn't sit perfect, but it's pretty good for what it's doing. Just wrap the cord around here, you can shut it off. I got it hooked onto that. I have to run it across here because I don't have any power source other than that on this side. Unless I want to come from back here, and that's not going to work there. But yeah, that's what I've been doing lately. I haven't been doing a whole lot of shooting. Well, I've done a little bit. Actual deer season started here in Missouri 4 days ago on the 15th. That's where I would be using my crossbow, but I don't know. 90% of my hunting career, so to speak, has been firearm November portion here in Missouri. That has been like the big thing for me. Go out with the 30-30 and sit around waiting for something to walk through. I did get a buck last season. I got him on camera too, on video, on the trail cam. Guy's skull back over here. See, he was a 6-point, but both those upper tines of it broke off. And I didn't bother mounting him. I just let the ants take care of him and went in and hung him up on the wall. Yeah, so yeah, I know every time I get on here, I'm like, I want to make some more videos and I want to do this and that. It's like, I'm not even going to say that this time. Maybe I will. Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention this. That range I got, it used to be, you know, I maxed out at 100 meters. And over the summer, early part of the summer, I was able to carve up to 200 yards. So I had my 16-inch AR out, and I was resighting it at 200 yards again because I switched over red dots from the Bushnell TRS 25 to the Romeo 5, and had to get that lined up. So I'm on pretty good now, 200. And then I went ahead and my A4 with the 20-inch barrel, I'm shooting the 855 green tip out of. I got one of those 25-meter military sight-in targets and got that lined up that way, so that's pretty decent. Now I just wish I could get 300-yard range, 300-meter range, and double check on that. So I don't have any access to one of those, so I'm just hoping that we're good. I think the idea was if you can keep 5 shots into that circle in the dead center of the silhouette, then you're good. You will qualify. So I got at least 6 shots within 2 separate groups in that 3-shot groups in that hole, so I'm thinking it's okay. And I got a bayonet for it, so it's good to go. Anyway, just kind of an update. What I've been doing, what I'm not doing, all that kind of stuff, and I'll see. It's funny. It's like, I'll see you in the next video, and it's like, no, we see you. You don't see us. But yeah, you'll see me in the next video.